call, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. PSR is excited to present to you Last Call, featuring your boy, the Pimp Slap POD, Mike M.
We are live, and you are here. Let's go, Billy Bridge. How you doing, Dutch? What up, brother? Doctor, what's up, brother? LJ from the HLJ.
Mike, man, happy to be here, man.
T on the ones and twos, -7.5, the official number we'll use, and the lines move 2 points. And this is not a show to be late for.
And now, let's get to the picks.
We be pumping! What up? What up? It's Last Call, baby. It's Monday, December 18th, Pub Sports Radio. What else would you rather be? Getting out of work, getting into this holiday groove here. We are 1 week away from that big day, and it's going to be a lot of fun this week. A lot of sports going on. We got the bull season in full effect right now, and what an interesting game we had today. You know, we'll get into a lot of these games and what's coming up on the slate, but I was thinking about these bowl games, and hey, these might be better than some of these primetime games we've had, but not tonight's NFL primetime game. It's going to be a banger. Seattle, the Philadelphia Eagles fly, Eagles fly. We got a full slate. We've got NHL, we've got NBA, we've got college basketball, and of course, this NFL game. It's going to be a lot of fun on Monday. It's a new week. It's time to build new money. We got to go past last week in our bankroll situations and continue to build moving forward. Appreciate everybody dropping in here. We're already 50 deep here. We just started the damn show. I love it. Love everybody being here early. Shout out to all you guys in the chat that are here rocking and rolling. Joey Hart, first guy in, says good luck today. All blessing us with his action right off the stick here. Let's go. Joseph Thompson, our guy in here, says, what's up? Coming off a 6-4 day with college hoops. He's giving us his top 2 model plays. And that's awesome here. We get you guys giving us these best looks. And of course, we know Joseph Thompson has been firing straight gas here, burning the flames and giving us these looks here. He's got Oakland, Michigan State over 138. Morgan State Campbell over 138.5 as well. Blessing us with a couple of overs to start Last Call tonight. We're going to take a note of those. We'll get our eyes on those things here as the night progresses. Joey Harps was looking at the Campbell team total over. Interesting spot there. Kind of like that Campbell spot there. I was thinking about some points in that game. Vilo Coots says, Coastal Carolina, Charleston over. You guys love these overs tonight. I like it. Nobody wants to sit around and watch an over the week before the big holiday. So let's go. Let's have some fun. Let's see some points is what it sounds like here. Andrew G says, big night for Fly, Eagles Fly. Going to be a lot of fun. That game's interesting. You know, the first Monday night football flex. Long time coming. They should have done this thing forever and a day ago. And what we might have is Marcus Mariota. And, of course, it looks like Geno Smith's going to be out on the other side. Should be a Drew Lock opportunity. But I do expect Jalen Hurts to get playing in this game. So we'll talk about that as we get into the card. There's Justin McKelvey. Says Stacks POD. He likes DK Metcalf over 69.5 receiving yards. And it's a plus money spot for our guy, Justin, 116 and 113 with his record. There's my boy, Wine Time Sports. Says, Mikey, let's get this cash. Love hanging out with Wine Time, man. We've had some fun here the last couple of days. We've been partying away on these live streams, getting that cash. Excellent addition to the staple and lineup on screen here. Young man with a ton of promise, and he's giving everybody his looks every chance he gets. So appreciate him dropping in, sharing what we're doing here. Jay Smooth says, let's get it. Money bag Mike, let's go. Justin McKelvey says, Pimp Slap going to Penn's game. Need a bet in that Penn's game, huh? Well, I do have a bet for you in that game, so I'm looking forward to talking about that. Andrew C says, Mike's going to be lit up tonight. I can see it. That's going to be a fun game, man. I'm eagerly anticipating that game there. Kirk Gray, love to hear that. He says he's on the Eagles -3 and the under 45. T-Pick says, let's go, Mike. Unlucky Charms got the Houston Rockets money line tonight from our guy. Awesome, you guys coming in here, rocking these picks right off the gate for everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it always comes down to not just here in the screen, but you guys in the chat. So Nasty Nate, a.k.a. Mr. Trifecta, says, my books don't have a Seahawks QB listed. Yeah, it's still up in the air with these guys. There has been some late movement to the Eagles, which does suggest Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy to get the job done. Joey Harps is another over. I'll be on. Let's go. Nasty Nate says, you and Wine Time are twins. Yeah, I mean, you know, with the exception of the fact that he's younger and got a lot more hair than this guy here, of course, we could be twins. My brother from another mother. Saturated says Swift over 13.5 attempts. And Eric Jones, Western Is that Western Kentucky plus 6.5 and the over? Let's go, Eric Jones. Let's go, my guy. Gonna be a lot of fun tonight here. You know, we had a segment last week. We debuted it off with Jeff MMA, and MMA Jeff came through for us. He gave us the 3-1 for the first edition. I'll be at the end of the calendar, but what a fun UFC card that was on Saturday. We made a ton of cash, and hopefully you guys did as well. You know what's up with this show here. We started out, we give everybody the opportunity to kind of get in, get home from work, get that ride going, get us fixed on the speaker so you can hear what's going on as you're driving home, you're getting ready to make some dinner. It's all about stopping in here, and we ask you to do nothing but three things. Three things is all we ask you to do. One, you guys know the deal. Hit that thumbs up, hit that like button here on YouTube for us, and help us promote the brand and grow the show. I say it all the time. It's tough to crack into the 6 o'clock market. There's a lot of guys that think they do it, but nobody does it better than us. Shout out to my guy T on the ones and twos as well. Speaking of nobody doing it better, there we go, producer extraordinaire, rocking and rolling for us. Two, the second thing we ask you to do, get a pen and paper. Not only the picks that I share with you, but everybody in the chat dropping those bangers. And three, of course, share those looks in the chat. Let's all get this cash together. It's not just a one-man band here. We're all working together with a common enemy, and it is the bookies. So let's go. Let's continue to see those plays out there. Antonio Esperanza says, yo, Mikey. Yo, Antonio. What up, my guy? Ian Shaber there. Ian Shaber, what up, gang? What up, Ian, man? My guy made quite a few donos here over the last couple of days, and I certainly want to acknowledge that as well. Not only does he give plays, not only does he contribute in the chat, but he also gives that loot out of his hard-earned pocket there to help everybody continue to grow and become members. So appreciate you, Ian. Thank you much for what you've done, my guy, helping us grow the channel one man at a time, one person at a time. Andrew G says, Mike, looking fresh tonight. He's glowing, man. I'm fired up. It's gonna be a lot of fun here. I'm, excited about not just this card, but obviously this big Eagles game, primetime spot. When you got a good team, you get primetime spots, and that makes it a lot of fun to enjoy the evening. So Nasty Nate says he's got a Metcalf touchdown, Hurts rushing attempts under in a same game parlay to get him plus 320. Interesting look there, because we do expect Jalen Hurts to kind of come in here with that illness looming, but lots of talk about the Michael Jordan flu game, and we know what happened there. So maybe we can channel that inner MJ and come out with a way to smash these books tonight. So Jay Peasy, what up, Jay Peasy, my guy? Got to hang out with him on screen a little bit last week as well. Enjoy spending time with my guy, Jay Peasy. Ian says, I felt horrible being on the under last night, but not that horrible. Sucks being on the opposite side. Hey, man, you cashed. Hey, a lot of guys were on the other side of that Baltimore Ravens thing there. And I'll tell you what, Ian, I didn't feel bad about it at all, man. I was happy to get that winner, and it certainly built the bankroll. Got some touchdown props in there as well, and hopefully we can do it again tonight. Londo says, I got some NBA plays. Let's see him, Londo. What up? There's Nut Flush Allen says, what up, boys? And Mike M, what up, Nut Flush Allen, man? Good to see you in the chat as well, you guys. Again, hit that thumbs up button for us. Help us promote the brand. It's not just about coming in and getting these winners. It's about helping us grow, man. We're doing this thing together. And the bigger we get, the more opportunities we have to bring on new programming, like the boys last week with the debut, all about the hoops on Wednesday. They got a great segment getting in there in that college basketball, getting in there in that NBA. It's the Dutch and Dabby show. You see them on Mondays with the sesh. Now you get to see them on Wednesdays, giving you guys all about that hoops action out there. And they did a great job last week, and it's coming back this week. So Londo likes the over 215.5 in that Cleveland game. Dana Delp says he needs Metcalf to score a touchdown to win his fantasy playoff game. Dana Delp, you're a good supporter of the show. I'll root for your DK Metcalf touchdown as long as the Eagles get on the right side of that thing. And there's MMA Locker Room, our guy dropping in. He likes that Metcalf over 4.5. He likes Smith. I messed this one up last week too. 4.5 receptions. Smith over 4.5 receptions. Let's go. Our guy MMA Locker Room coming in there with them props to get that fire. Londo likes the over 217.5 in the Minnesota game. Ian hit 3 times, 39.5, 41, and 44. It was disgusting. Yeah, it was disgusting, but shout out to you, my guy, because nothing disgusting about building the bankroll, especially on a Sunday night. A lot of guys that use the locals, that closes out the week. So hopefully that was a way to get you into the black with the bookies, and looking forward to having a good collection week this week here. It's the right time to get paid here. Londo like Charlotte plus 11.5 over Toronto. And then Andrew G says, hey, it's MMA Locker Room. This show's so cool. Yeah, man. Listen, appreciate our guy MMA Locker Room dropping in. And all you guys here, Londo continuing to share his plays. Like Atlanta, minus 11.5 over the Detroit Pistons. OKC at minus 10.5 against Memphis. And the under 238 in that Dallas and Denver game. We'll have an interesting look. 238.5, excuse me. We'll have an interesting look on that. He says Dana Dupp says I'm still taking the Eagles. And Ian Shaver says, fixing to bless. Well, I'm fixing to get rid of this thoughts of last week here, guys, because it was not a good Friday. It was a phone-in Friday for me, and that's the nature of the beast and what we do here on these things here. It was a 2-7 day. Last week, I think I jinxed it throughout the start of this thing by kicking off Monday saying it's going to be a difficult week, and it was. We lost our parlay, the 3-leg Rangers, Vegas, Dallas parlay. Was looking okay until the Sabres came out and beat Vegas live in the third period. So that one cost me not just the parlay, but personally as well. The Nashville Predators, though, nice big plus 150 spot for us. The Boston Bruins came through it, minus 120. The Sharks did not with the plus 165. And then basketball is just something I wish I could just move on from. But we got to talk about it nonetheless here. Fresno State minus 9.5 lost. Portland State minus 2 lost. Those two teams are playing tonight. I wanted to get in there and start to look at a play for this thing, but I couldn't think about what both of them took the L's for me last Friday. And I don't forgive that quickly. I keep a score and it's something I try to settle, and the scorecard doesn't get erased until I feel I've settled the score. So we'll see how that goes tonight. The Pacers and Miles Turner over 8.5 rebounds. Pacers lost that game outright. The Wemby 12 plus rebounds and 3 plus blocks. Look, this is one of those spots where I hate to say it. It was a plus 198 go. We had that same number earlier in the week at plus 235. We went back to it. It was the same matchup in the same place in the same conditions. And he got 2 blocks, not 3. So he did fall 1 block short for us. The Knicks under 232.5 was a smoke show on the over. So it is what it is, right? That's it. That's Friday. That's last week. We move forward. And I always hate to come in on that note, but look, we got to be transparent, man. We got to keep it a hundo. And if we come in here and we start talking about kicking ass and taking names off of a 2-7, that's nothing but a joke. So you nothing but the honesty from me, the transparency of what we do here each and every day to try to beat these books. So that being said, we got to move on here. We got a big card tonight. We got a lot of programming coming up across Pub Sports, including the big Monday night live stream. Big spots last night there. You followed along last night. You probably, hopefully you got on the right side. I know my guy Troy Torrance and I were rocking that Ravens thing. Obviously, our guy was out there knocking those unders down. And we got some props. A lot of those plus money props came through as well. So it was an interesting day. And, I want to start off talking about a question that somebody had kind of brought up and said, hey, I know you're a volume better. This was a question they brought up at the end of the night for anybody that wasn't there or me. And they said, you're a volume better, kind of what's it look like? I'm paraphrasing because I was 3/4 in the bag, maybe 80% in the bag. I'm not sure. But I just remember the question coming through. And, I want to kind of keep it simple. I thought about this and how do we get into it? I don't want to preach to anybody about money management, but we're now going, 7 weeks deep in the shows now. You see the volume that gets put out there. What you'll probably notice or hopefully notice is the number. It's the consistency in the number, not the performance, the number of plays that are put out there. I tracked everything for a long time as I got into this game here of sports picking and plays that I'm trying to build my personal bankrolls with. And certainly hate to give you guys losers, but I hate to lose more. That being said, you got to take a look at this thing and try to figure out the appropriate numbers. Now, I've seen all kinds of things going on out there, but I use a simple formula when it comes to my actual plays here. I don't want to overcomplicate it. And it depends on the bankroll you start with. So it doesn't matter. This is kind of transparent, whether you're a $200 better, a $2,000 better, or a $20,000 better as far as your bankroll. I keep it real simple. The number, don't go any more than, 5% of your bankroll to start this thing off. That's a great way to kind of manage. If you got a $2,000 bankroll, that means your unit size is $100, right? 5% of the bankroll gets you at 100. You probably heard that around all over the place. If you got a little more money to work with, a little more disposable income, maybe you bump it up, but keep that 5%. It's a $100 spot. When I play prop bets, we track them here on the show. They're unit spots, unless you hear me say otherwise in ladders. But I tend to go a half a unit on those prop bets. When I'm giving out a plus 1,500 same game touchdown prop, or I'm sorry, a first touchdown prop, I'm not putting a full unit on that thing. We talked about that last night. And then, last but not least, you got to look at it. And if you're going to sprinkle those ladders and things like that, then you got to move on up 25% maybe if you're going to sprinkle it out here. But here's the most important thing. If I play a game where I know that I've got we see a lot of guys chase. Last night, you're on the other side of that Baltimore at -4. You start thinking, do I want to play the other side? Some guys are really successful with it. That's not how I roll. If I got the -4 and it's looking good, I'm not looking to forego that money, but I'm also not looking to dig the ditch or dig the hole. So what I'll look at when I start talking about this is saying, if I know that I've got that unit coming back in, then at least in my head, I've got this unit to play with in terms of how I go about my live betting strategy. So I don't ever want to end up below, sea level there and end up being down if I know that I've got a spot that's going to win. I think those are some real simple rules to kind of keep in mind as you start looking at the volume. The numbers, tracking your bets will tell you if I play 10, more often than not, I'm going to come out at that 60% plus and find my way to win. You'll hear a lot of guys give out a lot of props on a lot of these different games, and I'm still not sure how they do it. But if you keep it at plus money, if you keep in mind where you're winning and where you're losing, then you have that opportunity to move forward. And then Dan Kelly, here we go, some contribution from a seasoned guy in it as well. The way he does it, he'll put a unit to win on the dogs, a unit to lose on the favorites. I love it because now you're looking at an opportunity to play for less than that full unit when it comes to the dog. It's all about keeping that unit count intact. I can't say it enough. A lot of guys will ask me, what's your favorite play? Give me one big one that I could do. It doesn't work like that for me. There's certainly some plays that I like more than others, and that's a generality, Dan Kelly. I couldn't agree more. But a lot of you guys have done this for a long time, and it's all about keeping that bankroll intact. If you see a 5-leg parlay for a 10-1 spot, or you see a same game parlay for a 10-1 spot, that doesn't mean you have to put a full unit down to win 10 units. You could put down a quarter of a unit, still find yourself to gain a full unit if it comes in there, but it's risk reward. So, I thought it was important to talk a little bit. We'll continue the conversation along the lines around the volume as we build these bankrolls, but important to kind of notate, I don't think everything's a full-fledged unit especially when it comes to those, plus 2,000 scores, plus 3,000 scores. They're great to hit the home runs, but they don't happen frequently enough. And so if you kind of parse that aside and say, I know that if I just won a 20-1 and I had a full unit on it, now you're up 20 units, but kind of keep that kitty separate when you're going to make other prop bets going forward. You don't want to give that all away. So again, not here to preach. You guys got to play your own bankroll and how it works. But when you're playing with the volume, when you're going 10, 12 bets deep, I'll have a couple $1,000s invested over the course of the night, but it's not something that I'm putting on every single game. Now, some guys are different. Some guys would rather just put $2,000 on a single game or $3,000 on a single game, and that's their only spot for the night. Not me. I start early. I go late, and sometimes into the overnight hours. So I'll grind it out and try to make it happen. But everybody's different, and just kind of keep in mind how you manage those plays out there. If you only want to pick one or two or use the information you hear here to find yourself with one or two, I still think the values are the same. You don't want to over invest in any one particular game because there it goes the chase. Now you're kind of finding, running from behind, and it's never a position of strength when you're trying to catch up to something. So bear some of that in mind. We'll talk more about it. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on how you go about this as well. Like I said, I know a lot of guys that do it successfully both ways. You'll probably never hear me give out like 20 props in a game. And I just don't know how guys do that and are successful with it. Now, some they're really good at it. But, I'll have fun with it. And Ian says, if you're not tracking your bets, you're a mark. You got to track your action. Where are you winning? Where are you losing? You might feel like you're winning in one sport versus another, and maybe you're not. And you need to see that data black and white. It's not that information that lies. It's your head. It's your psyche that lies to you. Maybe you like a sport more and you feel you're good at it. But when you look at the data, you see you stink at it. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's real simple these days, folks, to set up a little Google Doc or a spreadsheet. And it's a free service that you can go out there. You can put the information in yourselves, track that bet, see how it's going, grade yourself out every day. It'll give you a lot of good insight moving forward. So that being said, I just wanted to kind of share, again, that question came up last night, and I thought it was a good conversation for moving forward. But hey, if you want to go out there and you just want to play one game and you want to go big, more power to you. Sometimes I do that when I get the cocktails flowing. So let's break into the card here. We got a full slate tonight here, starting with the NFL, and it's a tricky game for me. You guys know my allegiances on this thing and how I kind of look at this, but right-hand side, you guys know the deal by now. You'll see the information that we're going to jump into, the games that we're going to cover. Over the top, you'll see if it's an official play, if it's a lean, or if there's a parlay that's going to be associated with it. We try to keep it all on the screen for you guys to keep it clear and, again, transparent. There shouldn't be any guessing at the end and saying, what was he on again? Because we'll recap it the next day as well. And listen, I've heard a lot of guys talking about the over in this game. I can't get mad at anybody that wants to play that way, but when you look at this total here, the line, first of all, Eagles open up at -2. They ping-ponged all morning between 3.5 and 4. Now we're seeing 4.5s, and now they're starting to see 5.5s out there. All those indicators to me tell me Jalen Hurts is going to play. Somebody said earlier, he didn't make the trip, and that's not true. He took a separate jet. He had a sickness. It was a private jet. I'm sure he had the medical staff with him. I'm sure he had IVs rocking and rolling, and he probably enjoyed that trip a lot more. Probably got some sleep out there as well. He got to stretch himself out in that private jet. Not too concerned about whether he traveled or not. It's just about the preparation that they took to give this guy the opportunity to go out there and try to be the best he can. And Chris Comatini says Hurts is in. Fully expected that. And again, we're seeing that in the number. 66% of the bets, 87% of the cash. Here's the interesting thing about the number. It was sitting around 3.5s and 4s earlier today. The number I specifically said is the quarterback goes in, we might see 2 points adjusted to the number. Not more than that. And that's ultimately because the bookies used to kind of go at this thing, and the bookmakers used to set these at touchdowns or 8 points. And then when the official news happened, there was a huge scramble, and they would readjust those numbers accordingly. Now it almost seems like their formulas, their models that they use to develop these games account for those factors. And we just don't see the point variance the way we used to. Kind of like the NBA. Last year, tons of guys couldn't make their NBA bets because they needed to wait and see what the injury reports were going to do. Those days are gone. You got to adapt. And in this case here, you can adapt and make those plays. Will you lose 1 or 2 points in value potentially over the course of the game? It depends. If you like the dog, maybe you wait. If you like the favorite, then you take it early so that you can get on that opportunity. But I'm the belief philosophy here that late betting is great betting. 66% of the bets and 87% of the cash on my birds here. Fly, Eagles, fly. And the number's moving. So we've got certainly the public and the bigger money coming in on what they potentially perceive as a low number for the Philadelphia Eagles. When you open the lineup here, it was 47s. That was 2 weeks ago. Now we're 45.5s, all the way down to 44.5s that we're starting to see out there. So a lot of guys I know put out that over, feeling like this is an over spot. 64% of the bets and 65% of the cash on the under in this game. And I think that's probably the right on here. When you look at what we're going to see out of this game, Jalen Hurts, okay. We know he hasn't been passing for that 200-yard mark plus. And we know that they start those games slow and tend to kind of come from behind. In fact, I want to say they've not covered the first half in their last 6 games. That in itself almost made me want to take the Eagles in the first half. A good team having that trend of 6 shouldn't be sustainable. But on the flip side of things, yeah, you've got Geno Smith out and you've got Drew Lock in. What do I think happens in this game? I think we have a heavy dose of run on both sides. That's what led me to this lean with the first half under 22.5. I like the fact that it's over the key number there with the 21 in this equation. The 22.5 gives me the opportunity to say, do we see? I bet you it's an 18-point first half. That's kind of what my gut tells me. We probably get a field goal or 2 in there. Maybe somebody goes for 2 and misses it, and we end up with an 18-pointer. And that's kind of on par. Do we think we're going to see a shootout? I mean, really? This first half? Really? You guys have done this a long time. You got 2 backup quarterbacks coming in on a primetime game. We know primetime unders have been running rampant. Is this the spot you want to put the flag in the ground and say, here's we go with an over? Maybe over the long haul, okay. Do I want to die on the hill because I said I like this first half under 22.5? I do not. But I do think that the opportunity for this first half to stay low makes a lot of sense. And then maybe we see that second half kind of pop some scores off there. I think what the kind of key that we find here with a lot of these games is in the first quarter, it's kind of that battle. We saw this again last night. There's like a field goal one side to the other. It's not until that first touchdown gets scored that they start trying to play back that response or that read and react situation. So nobody wants to give up the big plays early. That's why we see tight first quarters. And then it's after that first touchdown goes in there that we start to see things kind of open up and loosen up. And I expect that to take longer than shorter in this game. We've seen a lot of these primetime games start out scoring, but factors including healthy quarterbacks earlier in the season with good weather, nice warm nights out there. This is a Pacific Northwest game. What do you get this time of year in the Pacific Northwest? Dreary, rainy, dark, breezy, cold spots where both teams are used to playing in those situations. But I just think this is an opportunity. Alec Dirk says Geno Smith also hasn't been ruled out. That's why I can't give you guys an official play on this thing here. I don't see anything clear enough at this point. Now, if you want me to be fully transparent, there's a shitload of stats that say the Eagles, after they've been beaten up 13 to 23 points against the spread, come out there, and I want to say they're 11-0 right now. Also saw some Seahawks stats around being 5-0. And, are those intersecting zeros? They are. But I just think this is too big an opportunity. Yes, the Eagles did get into the playoffs the other day by way of other teams losing and kind of the way the chemistry worked itself out. But what's at stake right now is the NFC East. That's a big deal. That's why I expected Jalen Hurts to come into play. That gives them the home field, at least for the first game of the playoffs. And they're not done trying to battle for the NFC championship out there. Right now, the home field has the opportunity to run through Philadelphia for the entire playoffs. And I think we get them at their max, take some Tylenol cold and fluid for fuck's sake, and get out there and go back and make it happen. I think this is what we're going to see tonight. But more to come on that. We do have the live stream to talk a lot about those games and what's going to happen. For right now, I just give you guys that lean to the first half under 22.5. I think we do see a slower start, and I've kind of illustrated the case for why we think that's the case here. So let's keep it rolling. Let's get into the next sport we're going to cover for you guys. And it should be our best opportunity here. I think our guy's moving on out to this Pittsburgh game. I got to look in this Pittsburgh game for him as well. And, we're starting to heat up. This NHL's been cooking at a pretty good clip for us here. And I think we've got some really great plus money spots right now. So, yeah, the other thing I failed to mention was the Eagles. They're 6-7 to the under this year. Seattle, 7-6 to the under this year. I just think that's an opportunity where the number with the total where it's at right now being at 45 kind of indicates a 50-50 spot, whether it goes over or under. And we have both these teams in that situation. So, give me the low number here to start this first half, and we'll see what the game does. I will say this, though. Anybody that's thinking the Eagles are going to lose, Eagles with Jalen Hurts, winning situation. When he's priced as a favorite, he's 29-5 on the money line. When the price is the favorite, including a 9-1 going back to this season, 2023, when he's also against a non-divisional opponent. So lots of opportunity that show that Jalen Hurts finds a way to win these games. We know they started the game out slow, and they kind of come back at the long haul of this game. So I do expect that to be the case, but nonetheless here, let's move on. We've got 3 games in hockey to talk to you guys about, and I'm excited about this hockey card tonight. Originally, I was looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins in this game. Right off the gate, I thought Pittsburgh's in a great bounce back spot here. The Pittsburgh numbers that I had written down, when they've come off a loss and an over and they're priced between 118 and 150, they're in a 23-8 spot. And they just got their shit pushed in by those Toronto Maple Leafs, 7-0 spot out there. Not a great situation. They just looked flat. They just weren't there. 7-0. They let a Toronto team that struggles at home come out there and just push them around. On the other side of things, though, what we do have in this game and what kind of changed gears for me is we had a last-minute goalie change. Now they've got Gustafsson going in there for Minnesota. And you guys have heard me talk about this Gustafsson kid. Starting off the season, he just played like shit. He's 8-7-2 on the season. He does now have a 90.8 save percentage. On the other side of things for Pittsburgh, we've got Nedeljkovic at 3-2-1. He's got a 92.9% save percentage. But when you look at the cash, 76% of the bets, 82% of the cash have popped in on this under. And I think that makes sense here. What we have in this case is 2 low-scoring teams. We know about the goalie swap. It seems to me, it's something that I've been kind of tracking. When we get the goalie swap, the team that just pulled that last-minute goalie swap ends up winning the game. That Minnesota line went from plus 120 down to sitting around an even money spot right now. I just talked about that 7-0 Toronto beatdown. Gustafsson's going for 4 straight wins. And since the coaching change, Gustafsson's at a 95.4% save percentage right now, tops in the NHL. What led me to the under in this game, though, is despite the fact that Minnesota and Gustafsson are going for their 4th straight win, they're only scoring 1.8 goals a game. So very much that opportunity. It could be a 2-1 type of game, and they lose this thing, and Pittsburgh kind of gets it outright in a low spot there where we just talked about when they get beat down, teams tend to rally when they're a small favorite in that range. But, the other side of things, Nedeljkovic coming in for relief there. He got blasted as well. That game 7-0. They went to both goalies. But Nedeljkovic says the backup is 94.6% in his last 4 games. He's got a 2-1-1 record as well. I think the side is a little coin flippy, but the spot that I wanted to jump in on for this thing is that under 6.5, because I do expect there to be just that lower opportunity. I think it's a Monday game. We tend to see Monday games tend to run a little bit lower out there on the numbers. We also have Minnesota in a spot where their next game is on the road against Boston. I don't think they're going to want to go out there and blow their load tonight and score 16 goals. I think they're going to want to play a tight, conservative game. They're going to want to do just enough against a team in Pittsburgh that, is subpar at best. You look at Pittsburgh and their record, 13-13 right now on the season, a 500 team. But they're off for the next couple of days, so they can play a defensive, gritty, grindy game. They have a Carolina spot coming up. We know Carolina games have a tendency to go to the under as well, but they've got 3 days off here. And again, with Minnesota having Boston on deck, I think it's a spot to take the under 6.5. Game number 2, we're going to keep this thing rolling. Michael Johnson says 6.5 is minus 140 on FanDuel, huh? Let me see what number we have out there right now. Let me just see if I can just do a quick second of line shopping for you guys. I still like the 6 if it's getting that pricey here, but let's take a look. I see a 138 on FanDuel, 140 now on PointsBet, and now the number's at 6. So, yeah, let's go with the 6. Okay, minus 105 in this case. I still think it's a lower scoring game, 2-1 to me in this spot. So let's make it 6. We'll make the official adjustment 6. We'll keep the juice down on this thing here. Is it the difference between the push? It could be, but I just don't think there's going to be scoring in this game whatsoever. So a 4-2 game is going to screw us here. But I'll tell you what, if we go into that third period and it's tied at 2s, live bet that under because that's an opportunity to get that cash back. So let's keep it rolling. Let's talk about this next game. Seattle and Dallas. And here's that plus money spot that I was just talking to you guys about. Seattle. We have Dockard in goal at 5-5-7 with a 90.8% save percentage. Dallas, Wedgwood in goal. Wedgewall, 6-1-2 with a 90.4 save percentage. And I'm going a little off the script for this one here. The big deal for, I see I didn't update some of these cash flow money line movements here. So I'll talk to you guys about them as we're going through it here. Seattle opened up at plus 160. It's ticked down now to plus 158. 16% of the bets and 52% of the cash on the Kraken. The total's expecting goals. I kind of think there's going to be goals in this thing as well. The big play for me on this one is what's happening with Ottinger. Ottinger went down in that first period of the last game. And, since then, they had to bring in Wedgwood, who did stop 55 of 61 saves out there. So he got peppered. He got a little bit exhausted. But the challenge they have is the backup is Matt Murray, who's kind of been around the league. He plays right now in the AHL for the Texas Stars. He's having a decent season, but nothing to write home about. Ottinger's going to be a week-to-week factor now for quite some time. And I think what that does is that forces Dallas not to take as many chances in some odd man rushes that they give in a spot for Seattle. On the flip side, though, Seattle's got points in their last 3 straight games. They're 2-0-1. It's the scoring margin, though, that gives me the reason to want to be confident with this plus 158 spot. They're outscoring opponents in their last 3 games 13-3. 13-3. They're beating them down. And so as much as Seattle kind of had that stumbling block about maybe 2-3 weeks ago and found a way to take a bunch of L's pretty quickly, they're scoring again. Now they've got Wedgwood coming in, who just got peppered with 61 shots the last game that he played coming in as a backup. Gives him that short mental relief. He had to go back out there. And I think what happens in that spot is you goalies get that here we go again philosophy. They had to go in for relief. Here we go again. He's going to get exhausted, I believe, as the game goes on here. We know Dallas is a team that does like to go to overtimes, but I like the opportunity for Seattle at plus 158. Again, just to me, this is an opportunity for a team that's outscoring a team that's got their backup in there. And if they get 3 goals quick and they got to go to old Mother Hubbard, all they got is Matt Murray in the cupboard. And that's not going to be a spot for Seattle to get the job done. So next game we'll talk about for you guys. We're going to look at this Florida and Calgary spot. This is a game I gave out on this sesh earlier today, and I still stand behind it. But we do have this last-minute goaltending change, and that's why I say it here. Originally, it looked like it was going to be an opportunity for SpongeBob Bobrovsky to be the starting goaltender. And then against Calgary, Calgary is bringing Markstrom back. We talked about Markstrom and Markstrom having that kind of Vezina Trophy type of year right now, but then he got hurt. So this is his first game back since, what was the date that I wrote down here? Since December 2nd. So his first day playing in 16 days. That last game that he was out there, he took a 4-3 loss to Vancouver, and that's when he kind of tweaked his back. So, right now, and as I look at this thing, Stolarz is going for his second straight win. He had 17 saves that last game. Teams weren't shooting on him a lot, but we talked about this as well. Florida's a team that's been stepping in front of a lot of pucks. They're not letting offensive playmakers get wide open looks out here. So Calgary's sitting there at 1-4 in their last 5 games. Difficult situation because we do have, this is a potential revenge spot if you want to look at it that way with Markstrom. Markstrom was drafted, out there by Florida, right? Am I mistaken with that? Maybe I have my notes written down here wrong. So let me just skip right over that here. I can't read my own writing. Sometimes I get too excited about this. But what I will say is away favorites off and under, their opponents off and under, 103 and 50 in these spots here tonight. So away favorites off and under, and a win. I forgot to mention that. Away favorites off and under and a win and an under for their opponents. What that tells me is low scoring, taking aggressive opportunities from defense to stop pucks. They got the win. They're streaking a little bit. On the flip side, you got a team that's not scoring. And in that typical formula, it's 103-50. So I got to tighten that game up there the next time I go through and talk about hockey, because that was subpar at best. But at a minus 118, the bottom line is I like this Florida Panthers opportunity tonight. I think they get the job done. And again, I think it's going to be another low-scoring game. I do like in this case that Stolars is coming in, because I talked about this earlier. We get those goalie swaps, and it seems to go in our favor. So let's transition. Let's move on. And let's see what everybody's got saying in the chat here. I've been flying away here. Perky Bump Sanderson. Perky's entered the chat. My guy Perky's out there. Blue numbers going Calgary and Murray. Okay. Mike Wilkerson says Little Rock plus 1.5. Florida finally gets legal betting, and it's Bovada lines or worse. So frustrating. Yeah, that's hey, at least you don't have the FanDuel factor. It seems like every time FanDuel's got the better number for me, I'm taking it. And that's why I like this under 6.5 in that Pittsburgh game there. FanDuel does not have the best number for us. So Big Show says, let's go Ian Shaber. And then there's Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson says Coach Sullivan could pick up his 200th home win with a win tonight. He picked up his 200th loss last game. I don't like hearing that. Not especially not when I'm on road dogs. But hey, we'll see what happens, Bo Jackson. That's why they have to play the game. Also, something we've been taking a look at is, these coaching changes. We'll keep our eyes on this going forward. When these teams have changed coaches, we've seen it with Minnesota. They've been running hot. We've seen it with Edmonton Oilers that were looking terrible, and now they're running right back to the pace they should be having out there. We just saw St. Louis. St. Louis just gave their coach the 86, and they've picked up some opportunities. And the most recent coaching change, Ottawa, we'll keep our eyes on that. I believe they're playing tomorrow. So more to come when it comes to the coaching change out there, guys. 135 plus, rocking and rolling with us. If you haven't done so already, 3 things we ask you to do. 1, hit the thumbs up, hit the like button out there. Help us promote the brand. 2, grab a pen and paper, write down these plays that we're sharing, not just here, but a slew of guys and gals putting plays out there in the chat. And 3, share your plays in the chat. Let's all win together. Shout out to our guy, Ian. There he goes. Gifted Pub Sports Radio membership. Ian, I appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much for sharing the hard-earned dollars. We're building this community. You're paying it forward 1 membership at a time. And guys, if you've accepted the membership from our guy, Ian, or anybody else that's contributed, listen, make sure you renew next month. Helps us continue to grow. We want to continue to bring on new shows for everybody, and it starts right here. Big Show Pick says matchup simulation stats: Seahawks versus Eagles. Number of simulations 9,762. Of overtimes, 452 of them go to overtime, I think is what he's saying. Seahawks won 4,468 times. The Eagles won 5,294 times. Hey, I like it. Why not? Supports my thoughts there. Rod, we need you on Pub Sports shows. We got Hot Rod in the chat here as well. Did I miss a Hot Rod sighting? Anyhow, guys, listen, we're going to keep rocking here. Ran a little behind with some of the early diatribe here, but I do want to talk college hoops and the NBA, because we have several plays that I want to drop out for you guys here that I think are going to be excellent spots to get that cash tonight. So let's keep it moving. Let's talk about this next window of sports. 7 p.m. starts. We got to start this thing. We got to get rocking and rolling. 3 games for you guys that I rocked in here with this thing. We're going to start with the Bradley Duquesne game at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we started off at -3. I try to do a better job of correlating some of these numbers now where we're seeing this line movement, right? That's what this show's about, is kind of coming up with these line movements and these trends where we can try to take that last-minute look and find out how we're going to get paid. We had Duquesne open at -3. Now we're seeing -4s, and we're starting to see some 4.5s out there. 41% of the bets. So the public's banging away on Bradley in teasers and parlays and everything else, and then some. 52% of the bets, though, are coming in on the Duquesne side. And that's the part that's relevant to me. We talk about this all the time. It's not about where the cash is or where it's coming from. It's how the books are responding. If you look at the money line right now, the money line opened up at Duquesne -152, 49% of the cash, right? So just over a coin flip, and that includes parlays. And what they've done is they've moved it 36 cents to a -188. They're showing concern for a Duquesne team that's 7-2 at home against a Bradley Braves team that is struggling right now. If you look at Bradley, what they've done is they've lost 4 games in a row. They lost on the road to Murray. They lost to Indiana State. They lost to Akron. Akron's been a good, gritty team, but interesting about that is Akron's been a good, solid team that's been playing solid defense. They only let up 52 points to Bradley, but they were about a 2.5-point dog. So Not a lot in terms of the books kind of thought those two were equal, and they got blasted by Akron, losing by 15 points. Then they play a Cleveland team. They're laying 10 points, and they lose by 7 points outright there. We got a Bradley team that's just significantly underplaying right now. And on the flip side, we got a Duquesne team that's 4-1 in their last 5, struggling with the number themselves. But the fact that we're sitting here with the 3.5 to me says all we need to know here, that we've got that opportunity. We only need them to win by just over a bucket. And I like the opportunity. So this game, 8's neutral site. Did I mess that? Did I mess that up? Did I say something off there? Nonetheless, the LeBron James Arena, of course, it's the LBJ Center. Either way, I think it's a Duquesne spot. Duquesne to Cleveland is maybe an hour and a half, give or take, something like that. I'm not a Rand McNally Atlas here, but I do think it's an opportunity for Duquesne. And I like the line movement when we look at this game here. The fact that we're opening at 3s, we're now seeing 4s. I just want to double check the best number that's out there now, because that's what we're about here is 4. PointsBet has a 4 out there. We're seeing 4.5s as well. And I just think it's a spot where Bradley's just not performing right now. 6-4 Bradley. Sharp line, but I think we can get on top of it. I'm not concerned about the 1-point movement in the number. I'd start to be concerned when we got to 5. So if you haven't done it, make sure you take it now. Next game we're going to talk about for you guys here. I'm going to go back to them. Chicago State's been daddy's little moneymaker, and I want to get paid on them again tonight. You look at this game here. Utah Grand Valley opens up at +3. They've moved it to +4, 25% of the bets and 46% of the cash. So here's the opposite direction here, where we're seeing this thing open at 3s, again, 3.5s and 4s out there, 75% of the bets and 54% of the cash on the Chicago State side of things. And the books are concerned. They're starting to move it in that Chicago State direction. They should be concerned. The total's not moving either. We've got a 144.5, 56% of the bets, 88% of the cash on the over, and it's staying at 144.5. You guys know when I see that spot there, that correlates to me. When I jump in on an opportunity where the number's not moving, the total isn't. And it, to me, suggests with all that money coming in on the over, lower scoring game, favors the favorite. In my opinion, that's a Chicago State spot. Chicago State 5-9. They're not out there necessarily, winning by comfortable margins. But I think of note, they had that big Northwestern win just 2 games ago where they were 24.5-point dogs, and they won outright in Northwestern's barn. Then they're 3-point dogs to Valpa. They come out there, they win 63-62. So they are continuing to outperform their expectations. They hammered down on Stetson 4 games ago, 77-54, getting 7.5 points as a dog. Flip side, Utah Grand Valley, tough travel spot for them. 1-4 in their last 5. I just think it's a spot where they're going to get kind of caught sleeping here. It's a difficult early week situation. I like the opportunity to get this thing done here with the Chicago State team. That's been good to me. I got 2 cashers in a row on them. I'm running it back for number 3. We got the lines in our favor for this thing. And it's a Utah Grand Valley team that, what are they doing out there? They played Grand Canyon. They lost by 10 to Grand Canyon. So they covered the spread. They covered the 10 against Tarleton as well, but these aren't like upper echelon teams. They certainly don't have a resume win like a Northwestern. And, probably the only team of note that they played was, I guess, Tarleton, where they were getting 10 and they lost by 2. So it was a big cover for them. But I'm just not going to go there. To me, it's a Chicago State spot. I want to continue to get this cash. We're not messing around. I think the defense matches up better. I think they're shooting hot right now. They have confidence. And that's a bad recipe for a team that's coming in here at 1-4. They're going to start yelling at each other by halftime. It's going to get ugly in the locker room. Do I think it's going to be a double-digit blowout? I don't. But I think they comfortably cover this thing and win by margin. The last game I'm going to look at for you guys on the card tonight, I went to Eastern Washington and Cal Poly. And listen, there we go. Line opens at 6.5. Guess what we have? A frozen line. 67% of the bets, 71% of the cash on Eastern Washington. 0 movement. Flip side of things, the total opens at 148.5. Now down to 144.5 with 85% of the bets and 86% of the cash on the under. And the big thing that I looked at with this game, to me, it just comes down to the scoring abilities here. Cal Poly's last 9 night games against the Big Sky Conference have gone under 141. So we still have a 3.5-point margin when we look at that. Eastern Washington has scored 70 points or more in 7 straight games, but Cal Poly's only got 66 or less in 6 of their last 8 games. So collectively, if you look at these teams' scoring averages with the tendency for Cal Poly games to trend under the number, the line's moving in our number, the sharp betting seeing the under. I jumped in on that under as well. So Just a short, sweet 3-pack card for me here. If you look at who Cal Poly's been kind of going out there against, not so blown away by the competition. I mean, they lost to Weber, but they only scored 50 points. They scored 63 at Oregon State. They scored 70 at Ohio. That was a big deal. And then San Jose State, they put up an 81 spot. But they played Cal Baptist and they got 58 points. So they're keeping those numbers down. They're doing their part. On the flip side of things, what we do need to have happen is not an offensive explosion by Eastern Washington. I think we get a lower number where Eastern Washington's gone over their total in their last 5. But it's because they're letting their opponents go out there and score 70. 70 will be more than that Cal Poly team average. And if we see Cal Poly with 70 plus, we're in trouble on this thing. But I think it's a good opportunity for us to take advantage with this under. Numbers trend in our direction. The books are showing their concern. 144.5 BetMGM is the current number, down from the 145.5 that we put out there earlier. And now let's go through this thing here. Last spot we're going to get into, we're going to look at the NBA, the association for you guys. Nick, is that Nick Geishel? How do you feel about Murray State and Quinnipiac? I would lean Quinnipiac in that one, if you're asking me. And anybody else in the chat, I'd love to see what you guys have to say about that. And what do we got here? King Al, Mike, you like Winnipeg under 6 for the hockey game. I'm assuming, let me just take a peek since you guys asked. Let me take a peek out there. I actually leaned to the Canadians in that game. It's nothing I went official with, but at a 2-1 spot, Winnipeg's been scoring as of late. Just take a quick second here. We've got a memento to get this job done here, but Winnipeg coming off of, Montreal coming off a big spot. They were a dog against the Islanders, and they handily handled the Islanders. 5-3 win. Previous to that, they lost 4-3 to Pittsburgh. They lost 2-1 to Nashville. They lost 3-2 to Buffalo in Buffalo. And low scoring games. So yeah, we have low scoring games. Well, the last maybe 2 weren't so low scoring, but the fact that the margin was 1 to me said I had to go in there and take a look at it. There's Jeff M says 2 Canadian teams playing. You take the over. He likes the over on those spots. I looked at the Jets though. The thing that concerned me was, the Jets are kind of in a sleepy position right now. They just played Colorado. They won 6-2. They just played LA, 5-2 wins as well. These are kind of those letdown spots where it's like, okay, they just kind of took down the gauntlet of strong teams in the Western Conference here. They lost to San Jose 2-1. Now that San Jose team had some momentum and had some things going, but anyhow, I don't want to digress too far into that thing. I left the look where there's the 2 Canadian teams playing and taking the over. I wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to jump on that. But at the end of the day, I think it's just that opportunity to take a spot there with the dog in the plus 205 spot. Nothing official, just kind of a look that I had in this game. Let's talk about the NBA though. Cameron Good says, Mike, give me a cashier in Monday Night Football play for listen, we got a show at 7:30. I'm going to have to dive into that a little bit more to get in there. I would lead to a Swift over rushing prop right now. I like his over rushing yards. The line has moved 3 points on that rushing prop since this afternoon at about 12:30. So the book suggests it to be a rushing game. I suspect it to be a rushing game simply because of the nature of Jalen Hurts being kind of banged up and tattered here with the sickness. And I think that they're not going to want to put that out there and risk interceptions. They want to keep this thing on the ground. They want to keep that game moving. So I would lean that way as well. But anyhow, let's keep it rolling. Jake Allen, 3-6-2. Can't go with the Habs today. Listen, it's a lot better than the numbers produced there, Big Scott 510. I certainly can appreciate that. But again, nothing official that I'm rocking with there. So let's keep it rolling. Oh, Chosen One says, breaking news. We've got Geno Smith now ruled in. Let me just take a peek back if that's the case and see if that's made any movement or impact to the number. It has. We've got we started talking about this show, guys. This is important breaking news information. We started talking about the show. We started seeing 4.5s and 5s. We're back now to 3.5s and 4s out there. So huge update there. Thanks to our guy, Chosen One, giving us the update on Geno. And now as far as the total, is right on par with what I said. We're going to see no more than 2 points out of the total. I was talking to our guy, Razor Sharp, about this earlier when it came to the injury news out there. 47 it opened at. We were seeing 44.5 when we started the show. Now we're at 45s and 46.5s. And King Al says it's raining heavy. So sounds like a total shit show out there. But listen, 7:30 comes quickly, guys. That was a great update, though. I think that was a relevant piece to kind of come in there. Thank you guys for contributing. We want to make sure that we get all that information captured. That makes me like the under even more in this case, to be honest with you. Neither one of these quarterbacks is going to want to go out there and air it out. So my first half under is going to go official. I'm going to officially take that 22.5 that I gave you guys as a lean. So We'll add that as a show play. Let's talk about the NBA here, you guys. We're still rocking and rolling, and I want to get you guys buttoned up and out of here to go get these plays in before 7 o'clock. So we've got some work to do. And the first game I'm starting with here, I'm looking at the 76ers. The line opened at 10. Injury factors were moving this thing around here. Literally before the show, it was down to 9.5. We're back to 10.5 and 11s. So 59% of the bets and 57% of the cash on the Philadelphia 76ers. And it's ping pong back up. I can't quantify it as of just yet, but I'll tell you, this happened again last night with the NFL game. Anytime we see that number kind of flip-flop, that last element of the U-shape, right? So the U-shape meaning we see it open at 10, it drops down to 9s and 9.5s. Now it shoots back up. That last movement, to me, tends to be that sharper betting. So, we saw that again with the Ravens game yesterday, 3.5s and 4s, and then it closed around 4s and 4.5. So take that for what it's worth with the Sixers game, but the totals where I'm looking in this game here, we opened at 229. We're down to 227s, and I see 226.5s out there now. So that is ping pong back up as well. 52% of the bets and 51% of the bets now, but 57% of the cash on the 76ers over. And this is a team that has just been running amok in the NBA right now. They are scoring points at will, and they're a home game right now. So love the opportunity to see this thing continue to go along the lines of scoring. They just put up 135 against Charlotte, 124 against Detroit. Before that, 129 against Detroit, 146 against Washington, 125 against Atlanta. And what do we know about the Bulls side of things? Kobe White's been running crazy since Zach LaVine got out of there, right? Since they kind of gave him his walking papers, unofficially, of course. They've been putting up points out there, 116 against Miami. Previous to that, 124 against Miami. 106 to Denver. That was a tough game. That was a home game that they were hosting the NBA champ. So we'll dismiss that only 106. Before that, though, the Bucks 129 and the Spurs at 121. When you've got a home favorite and the line's 4.5 points or more, it's 41 and 26 to the over, and it's sailing over the over by 9.26 points. So huge opportunity out there. Also, when the line is greater than 10 points, which we have here tonight, now this one is officially qualified with that last minute movement. The line's greater than 10. You last beat the team head to head. It's 48 and 18 to the over, going over by 6.5 points in that spot as well. So give me the over in this game. Let me line shop it really quick. The number that I can jump in on for you guys here is 226.5. It's minus 110. It's at points bet. I hate losing that point in this thing here. But again, with the fact that that margin is so important when we start looking at these trends, because that'll help us gauge whether or not we're where we should be in this thing. The fact that we've got the U-shaped movement going back to the over, we've got a margin of almost 10 points. I like that Philadelphia 76ers over spot. Originally, I thought about getting into a parlay for you guys here with this thing too, but I think the Sixers beat up on these Bulls here. And I think it's going to get ugly, and it's going to get ugly fast. But regardless, let's keep it moving. Let's talk. I thought about the Philly parlay, but it wasn't juicy enough as far as a profit. So I like to try to bundle some of those things together where I get the opportunity. A same city to me is a lot of fun to kind of follow along with. And I'm a little biased with those guys, but just didn't have the return on this. They're just too big a favorite. So couldn't get there and pull the trigger. So let's talk about this next game, though. The next game we have on the docket for you guys, we're looking at this Denver-Dallas game here. And this game should be a lot of fun. I mean, we've got Dallas, who's been running pretty red hot right now. And, they're coming by way of the former NBA champs here. The line opened at 7. We see 8.5, 49% of the bets and 86% of the bets on the Nuggets. Everybody likes these chicken nuggets tonight. The total starts at 238.5, 70% of the bets and 86% of the cash on the under. And I guess I'm fading. I am fading this line movement here. I bundled this thing together, though, to come up with an even money spot. First spot of the parlay here, I've got Joker over 12 rebounds. I love this Joker Doncic matchup here. This should be a lot of fun to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of points. Both these teams have been out there hooping, and I don't expect that to change. So the 12.5 number for me is the actual Joker spot. So I took that extra half out there just in case I kind of get that feeling like we had the other night with the 3 on our guy Wemby. I want the 12 plus. We know Joker, true center, leads the association in the rebounds. That kind of led me to the Joker over the Doncic spot there. The Mavericks allow the 5th most rebounds per game. They're allowing 55.1 rebounds a game. And Joker, last 6 games, the Nuggets blew the game out in the 4th. He didn't have a chance to get there because of the situation, but they should be able to respond. Dallas, not having a rebounding answer, I don't think, for Joker in this spot. I love that opportunity. And then I took the over, and I took the over down to 227.5. I took a whole 10 points against the number that we have right now and still was able to get this thing to even money. The Dallas Mavericks, 10-0 to the over when they've got 231 or more after a win that went over the opposite. The opponent also had an over. So when both teams coming off an over, we're 10-0 to the over as long as it's 231 or more points. Also, rested favorites with a 7-point or less margin in this spot. We're just moving past that, but I still like the number 14-0 to the over. The margin, again, is what got me there with the 14 points. So I took it down to 227.5 from the 237.5. I'll take a whole 10 points in my pocket, and I'll take the Joker 12-plus rebounds out there to lock that down. So that should get us right about there, T. I think we got it rocked and rolling here. 145 plus out here listening to us, guys. It means a ton to have you guys showing the support. Appreciate everybody. Jared TG, he likes the Joker triple-double. Averages right at it. The Mavs can't play defense for shit. Well said, Jared TG. Coin says Ian Rappaport says Gino is starting tonight. Okay. Hey, I like it. Give me the better team when you got 2 suspect quarterbacks out there. So Saturated says he's leading the Bulls too. 10 is too many. Yeah, Michael Blana. We know Michael Blana's been cashing some big bucks out there for us, and he likes the Bulls plus the points. Took a look at the 76ers last 6 opponents. Pistons twice, Wizards twice, Hawks and Hornets. That's why I went to the total on this game. I just think we're going to see scores. And then Saturated says he likes the over 225.5. We see Kobe lights out, but 5 in a row. He's on the points, rebounds, and assists. I like that move too, guys. We've talked about that before. Some of our NBA experts have come in, not just riding the points train, but they're riding the opportunity to get creative and add some of those other types of opportunities to move that casher forward. And points, rebounds, and assists is a look that I certainly had an eye on tonight as well. Nuke Worker says, just because Geno Smith is active does not mean he's starting. The Seahawks are dressing 3 QBs tonight, but have not announced a starter per Schefter. That is correct. They did promote, I can't remember his name. I'll just call him T-Scrub. T-Scrub from the practice squad to be the 3rd guy out there. I think they're going to probably take that wait and see approach. They want to see how Geno does when they start this game off, but 6 and 1/2 dozen the other to me. So guys, I'll give you the recap. We'll get you guys out of here. And again, we'll do this again tomorrow. So we're going to rock. I made it an official play. The Philadelphia first half under 22.5. Official play for me in that Eagles game. I've got the Minnesota under 6. We moved it from 6.5 because of the juice to minus 105. We've got the Seattle Kraken at plus 158. The Florida Panthers at minus 118. Some goalie changes in there, so buyer beware. We got Duquesne minus 3.5. Chicago State minus 3. Cal Poly under 144.5. The 76ers over 226.5. And then the Joker 12-plus rebounds. Dallas over 227. You know what? Fuck it. I'll share my thought process with you guys on this. It'll be my last. It's a lean for us here. Nothing official, but I will give you guys this little 3-legger. I wish it was more sexy, but, I put together a 5-leg favorite yesterday in the NFL, and it cashed like 4-1. So I'll take it. I mean, it was a lot of points. And I kind of looked at the same model tonight, just trying to find a way to turn some plus money spots out there. There's a lot of parlay bonuses on these books out there that are giving 50%, 65% boost on the parlays. I parlayed the Sixers, the Raptors, and the Wolves together. Now, the first 2 probably make a lot of sense, right? They're big favorites. Take a shot with them here. They should be expected to win when they're double-digit favorites. The Toronto game certainly gives me suspect thought process there. That team stinks. They're laying 12 points right now. They're begging you to take the Hornets. And the Raptors, they stink. They're just not good. The one that kind of jumped out at me that made this thing have a little plus money opportunity to it, this will be a lean for you guys. The Sixers, the Raptors, and the Wolves. With the Heat returning lineup here, we've got this number sitting at 2, and everybody's talking about the players coming back for Miami, yet Minnesota Timberwolves not to be messed with out there. We know that there's some social media angst going on with what's going on out there with some of those key guys in the Timberwolves, but they're running hot. They've been running hot. They ran into the buzzsaw a little bit with the Pelicans at home, but the Pelicans have been playing well. They took down the Pacers. They took down the Mavericks. They took down the Grizzlies by 24 points, and they whooped up on the Spurs. On the other side of things with the Heat, they're kind of win one, lose one. Their last win came off of the second leg of a back-to-back spot against the Bulls. And prior to that, as a 3.5-point favorite, 116 to 124. So there's a little three-legger for you. That's a little bonus play for everybody that hung around late here tonight. We're going to go with this little bonus lean. I gave you guys the Sixers, the Raptors, and the Timberwolves. I expect the Timberwolves to get it done outright. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Let's get to the window, baby. We got 7:30 p.m. big Monday night football show. Get your cocktails, get yourselves ready to go, get your bets placed, and we'll see everybody right back. Same place, same time tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's last call. Again, shout out to my guy T back there, rocking and rolling, holding us down, keeping it tight and right. I'll see everybody up there at the window, and let's have a big victory Monday. We out of here.